Levac and Goss here with you on 104.5 The Team, and joining us on the road warrior he was on, as Roger Weiland likes to call it, on assignment today. Chris Onorato joins us. And Chris, for those that may not know, where were you on assignment today?
These are the assignments we don't complain about, guys. We're down in East Rutherford to cover the Giants, of course, press conference to officially introduce their new head coach, Pat Shurmur.
So what was it like? Set the scene for us there. What was the environment like, both media, fans, ownership, the introductory press conference for Pat Shurmur? It's
funny. Any press conference like this tends to just be a little tense by nature. You don't introduce a new head coach. 99 out of 100 times, you're introducing a new head coach because the last season was a disaster or not up to standards. And in the Giants' case, it was a mess. So, expectations for Pat Shurmur, of course, are high. Try to get the Giants back to where they feel their rightful place is, and that is, one, in the playoffs, but two, back in the Super Bowl. And while he didn't give a direct timeline as to when they'll win another championship, he did make light of the fact that he's as impatient as any player he's ever come across. So winning starts day one. He's in the building, and he's already had those types of urgent conversations with some of the players.
Was there any, in particular, questions that stood out during that press conference that maybe Pat Shurmur handled the right way, the wrong way? Any headlines already the New York media is grabbing from this?
No, he played it the way you would expect a head coach to play it. And I'll give you one example, guys, of what you just asked. But the one thing I really wanted to hear from Shurmur was, what mistakes did he make in Cleveland? Because we all know he made them, and he knows he made them. And so was he humbled by that experience, and now can he take whatever he learned in Cleveland and apply it to the Giants? And he was actually asked about his experience in Cleveland before he got to it, but he owned up to the fact that he wished he knew then what he knows now, and he feels ready for this opportunity. Whereas in 2011, when Cleveland offered him the job, you don't pass up a head coaching job in the NFL, but he didn't feel like he was really ready. He would have been... would have been about 45 years old then. He's 52 now. So I think he's in a better place professionally. I think he's in a better place emotionally. He's talked about, how demanding he can be and how serious he can be as a person and as a coach. But also, he has a lighter side to him. He's not afraid to poke fun at himself, not afraid to laugh at himself, and feels like he has a pretty good sense of humor. And it all started perfectly for him, honestly, because I talked about that tension in the room. It was quickly erased when the lights went out, just as Pat Shurmur was saying hello to all of the media there assembled to ask him questions. So that kind of just gave him a natural path to laugh, have some fun with it. Unfortunate timing for the Giants, of course, and people who aren't fans of the Giants will find plenty of ways to poke fun at the lights going out on their new head coach just a few minutes into his press conference.
Yes, hopefully it is not a bad omen for Giants fans. The lights go out seconds before, once he hits the stage there in front of the media. It is Chris Onorato joining us via the phone line. Levac and Goss here on 104.5 The Team. Chris was out covering the introductory press conference for Pat Shurmur today. So was Dave Gettleman there, or was Dave Gettleman talking at all about the role that may be him and Pat Shurmur here for the next few months?
Gettleman was available to the media afterwards, I believe. I know Mara and John Mara and Steve Tisch were as well. Now, I know Giants beat reporters spoke with Gettleman. Whether he was there or not, I did not actually see him, guys. But they are, as you know, when you hire a GM and a coach, especially together, they are linked together. And their biggest decision ahead of them right now, I know they've hired a defensive coordinator in James Betcher, who was with the Cardinals most recently, and Shurmur has to get his offensive coordinator and all that. But above even those two positions, which are vital to a football team's success, is the number 2 overall pick. And Shurmur was asked about that second pick. Has he ruled anything out? Is he leaning one way or the other? And he said, we haven't settled on taking a quarterback. Now, people may say, they might do something else. No, all I hear is a media-savvy coach not painting himself into a corner. Had he gone up there and said, we've ruled out taking a quarterback, or we know we're going to take a quarterback, well, let the months of speculation through the NFL Combine begin. So Gettleman said they're going to take the best available player. Pat Shurmur says they haven't locked into taking a quarterback or any other positions with that pick. I still think it'll be a QB, but they're not showing their hand as of yet.
I have no problem with that question being asked in the introductory press conference of what he's going to think about, but isn't there just the possibility of he really doesn't know yet? I mean, he just got introduced today. He hasn't watched Eli in practice. He may have not even scouted Josh Rosen. He may, here in January, just not know the answer, right?
I think he knows.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, all right.
I think he knows. I think they know as an organization. Should I put it that way? And ultimately, I just don't think it's going to be Pat Shurmur's decision, if that makes sense. Now, he's the head coach, and he's going to call the plays. He made that clear as well in the press conference that while he'll hire an offensive coordinator, he's still going to be the guy calling the plays into Eli's helmet. I think in his interview he had to say, yep, I'm committed to Eli because John Mara wanted that to happen and Dave Gettleman agreed to it. But I don't think Pat Shurmur is going to be the guy saying we have to take Rosen or we have to take Allen or Darn. I think just organizationally they'll settle on taking a quarterback, and I think it makes sense, right, guys? I mean, you're talking about an offensive mind at the head coach position. He's a new head coach, in quotation marks, here with the Giants, and Gettleman is, again, in quotes, a new general manager. So if you're building something here and you have a 37-year-old quarterback coming into 2018, it's just natural to think, from an organizational standpoint, we're going to take a quarterback because we see ourselves being here for a long time, and we being Gettleman and of course, Shurmur.
Oh, the storylines are on the way. I can't wait as we lead up to draft day. How many more times Shurmur's going to be asked about that number 2 pick in the quarterback position? It's going to be a story all the way into the fall. He's on the road traveling right now. Our guy, Chris Onorato, covering the introductory press conference for Pat Shurmur. Chris, do me a favor, drive safe. I know Levac always crushes me about how slow I drive on the way back. Take your time. You're on assignment. That means you don't have to rush back to the Mighty 1-3.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be live at 4 and at 5 and 6 and 11 o'clock tonight. We'll have all the details from the press conference on News Channel 13. And one thing we didn't mention, which I know you guys will kick around, is, how does Pat Shurmur address the elephant in the room? And that is the mess in this Giants locker room. And it starts really with Odell Beckham Jr., and he did address that. Basically saying, he needs to have a conversation with Odell. He needs to figure out what is it that makes Odell pick, and they need to find mutual respect for each other. It's not like Pat Shurmur is Bill Belichick coming in, right? And he was 9-23 in Cleveland. They kill for 9 wins now, I know, in Cleveland, but it's not like he had this great success, and so Odell Beckham is just going to, kind of bend the knee. So they've got to find kind of that mutual respect for one another.
Set the DVRs for the Mighty 1-3 tonight to check out Chris covering everything live from the New York Giants camp. Chris Onorato. Chris, appreciate your time, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, boys.